Hi, I'm Don Stanek, your Agile coach. This segment is all about how you as an agent are differentiating yourself from other agents and what are the differences with agencies that are operating within your market. We've laid a really good foundation now about asking all these questions of the seller, and so we should have an understanding of their time frame and their core motivation and what they plan on doing with the proceeds of the sale of their house. Now it's time for us to start establishing value in who we are and who we have affiliated with in order to do our business in the best possible way so that it promotes productivity and great results for our clients. Many agents gloss right over this because they just figure, well, I'm already here and, I got this logo on my lapel, and so they know I'm with this big company. For goodness sakes, take advantage of the fact that you are different and you can leverage your brand, and you can leverage your own skill set to differentiate yourself with other agents. The vast majority of opinions out there with the general consumer are, well, all realtors are basically the same, right? You take all my money with this big commission, you put it in the MLS, it sells, you make all this money, and you really don't do anything, right? So although maybe people aren't actually saying that to your face, there's a pretty high percentage of people who just kind of feel this, that maybe you're really not doing anything, or maybe you're not special or interesting than any other agent. It's incumbent upon you to go ahead and break this delusion. You need to illustrate why you are different and how you are different. And what you need to do is understand what kind of model you're operating in as a business owner and a subcontractor, and how that's important when it comes to someone listing their house with your brokerage. Don't underestimate the importance of the brokerage where you're domiciled. Okay, now let's get started. So as a general rule, presentation is about big concepts narrowing down to little concepts. I'm going to give you this big overview and macro view, and then we're going to pare it down into a micro event that you can relate to. And so this is just a general good rule when it comes to presentation, right? So when it comes to establishing your value as an agent, you're going to do the same thing. And so what I want you to start with isn't you personally. I want you to start with the company where you work, or the place that has your license. Now, that might be a big company, a little company, a boutique company. We're going to talk about that next. But the first thing what I want you to do is I want you to be able to have some facts about the company that you're with, boom, in your back pocket and ready to go at a moment's notice. So let's take a very simple example. And let's say you work for a large national franchise that everybody recognizes because they've seen their logo every place, okay? What are the advantages and disadvantages of being in that situation? Well, first off, those signs with that logo are all over the place, so it looks like they're big and it looks like they're doing a lot of business, right? So what you should be able to do as an agent before you start talking about yourself is start talking about, well, one of the reasons I have affiliated with this company is because we do so much business in this market. In fact, 10% of all home sales that happen in this market are with our company or with our brand. And this is one of the reasons why I affiliated with them, because they're uniquely positioned to attract a lot of buyers because of all of the signage they have across the entire region, right? I took the concept of why this brokerage is so good, and this is why I made a choice to affiliate with them. Now, after you've maybe gone through a couple of different factoids about why you're with that particular company and why there's a benefit to you running your business, I want you to start focusing on you. I want you to take the fact that there's a large real estate company and they've got system and process and method and signage and all these different things. You have an entire team behind you. Even though you might be working by yourself, you might have transaction coordinator, you might have a marketing person at the corporate level. You certainly have some kind of a corporate website that you have access to, and leverage this big concept. Now, the reason why it works for me is because how I run my business is I utilize all of those tools in order to promote your house. Okay, we've taken the macro concept of this large brand, pared it down into what's in it for me. What's in it for me? What's in it for me as an owner of a small business? and that transmits directly into what is in it for you as a home seller. Okay. Now, are all agents the same? Heck no. What I want you to do, and a lot of agents don't want to do this, but I want you to make sure that you have a professionally written resume on yourself, a real resume. Now, a lot of us get into sales and we get into real estate because we don't want to have to be burdened by all the traditional trappings of having to work in a real company. Well, guess what? There's a reason why real companies want that stuff. It's because you need to validate who you are to this person that's in front of you. Now, you might be relatively new in the business, and so you're going to rely more heavily on the company statistics and the company benefits and the company tools, and that's why I want you to start with that. If you've been in the business for a little longer than that, I want you to start relying on your own statistics and your own production, and I want you to be able to show it to somebody. Now, to humanize you, I want you to not only be able to demonstrate your production. What I want you to be able to do is have a resume. So let's say you've been in the business 10 years, but before that, you were a school teacher, you were a bartender, you were a machinist, you did something else. All the skill sets and the people skills that you learned in that other business set you up for success in what you're doing right now, okay? It's important to know who you're working with. And I don't want you to conceal the fact that, well, before I was a realtor, I was a plumber, and I've got my license 2 weeks ago. Now, is that the first thing on your resume? Maybe yes, maybe no. But the truth of the matter is, I would rather work with someone who's direct and honest and has a real clear approach to running their business than someone who maybe just kind of glosses over it. Take some time and think about what are the benefits of the company that you're currently working with. More importantly, what are the 3 or 4 things that differentiate you as a professional with other folks? Now, this is another great opportunity maybe for you to provide testimonials. There's a lot of different testimonial products out there, Testimony Tree, and write me a Google review on my business. Print those things up and bring them with. Print them up. So here's my resume. Here's some of the production I've done in the past. If your production's skinny because you're new, then bring all the pictures and bring the entire listing for the last listings you've done. Maybe you've only had 5 or 10 listings in your entire career. Print the whole thing up, the whole dang thing. It doesn't have to be the one-page summary, the one-line summary. If you've been in the business for a long time and your one-line summary has 150, 200, 300 transactions on it, then just print that, right? It's still very impressive. This is what I've done in the market. This is who I am as a person. Here's how I leverage the company tools that are available to me, and here's why I've chosen to domicile or to affiliate my license with brand XYZ. Okay, now we should have a pretty clear picture of who you are. The next thing I want you to slowly transition into with the differences between agents and agencies is this. You need to have a complete understanding of the differences between a buyer's agent and a listing agent. Now, this isn't as basic as you might think it is, because most realtors are like, well, I'm a buyer's agent and I list some houses once in a while. Okay, look, the skill set associated with being a buyer's agent is that you are a salesperson. You're out there in the market trying to find the right home for the right person, the right home for the right person. You're asking a lot of these detailed questions about needs, wants, benefits, and you're trying to match these properties with your clients. You're a salesman, right? You're a salesperson. By definition, if you're a buyer's agent, you're a salesperson. Listing agents do have sales skills. However, a listing agent is all about being able to promote and advertise a property. So if you're a listing agent, you're a promoter, which means this communication is happening in one direction. I'm broadcasting all this information about my new listing. Isn't it amazing? Take a look. So you're much more of a marketeer. You're a marketing person, not a salesperson. Now, why is this so important? Sometimes during the listing presentation, your potential seller might say, well, I'm just thinking about selling my house with the person I bought it from. Bill helped me buy the house, and now, I'm just going to go ahead and go with Bill, right? How do you combat that? Do you go to Bill? Do you attack Bill personally? Probably not. But you might want to say something like, well, you could go with Bill. However, let me explain some of the differences between a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. I know Bill represented you in the purchase of your home. I'm sure he did a fine job. But being a listing agent is fundamentally a different job requirement. There's just a different job description. Being a seller's agent is about how am I able to promote your house. So go through a brief explanation of what I just did. Why am I setting this up? Because in order to differentiate yourself and your skill set from other agents, instead of making it personal, I want to start doing it from an educational standpoint first, which is let's just separate some major categories and understand why some people just don't fit, right? And what are you doing? Your listing presentation is fundamentally a job interview. Okay? It's a job interview. Are all candidates the best candidates for the job? No, because we've already differentiated the fact that not all agents are the same, right? So in order for you to eliminate the competition, you want to put yourself in the best possible light by your skill set and how you leverage company assets to be able to promote their house, and the fact that your expertise is in promoting properties and driving traffic and sorting through offers and mastering counteroffer, right? Your skill set's really different than a buyer's agent. Got it? Good. Now, the next thing you need to start whittling away at is there are different brokerages who just operate in different ways. You need to understand the type of brokerage model that you're in, but you also need to understand that you're going to be coming up against these other brokerage models when it comes to competing for listings and listing properties. Your ability to understand the benefits and the features of each of these models, these brokerage models, is really important, because you're going to be able to compare and contrast and compare and contrast in a favorable way with regard to the type of model that you're operating in. If you don't know these models, you're at a huge disadvantage. We've already talked a little bit about large franchise models, and the benefit to that is that they have a lot of inherent advertising that's already in there, because they typically have large numbers of agents and they have lots of listings and they have signage all over the place. And some of these organizations have national type advertising campaigns, and they're just branded, generalized branded campaigns. They're not driving traffic to you specifically. They're just putting out, we're great, we're great, we're great. And that's a huge advantage. So let's say you find yourself not in that model and you're in a different model. Let's say that you are in a boutique type model. And a boutique type model might just be, there's a broker that's got, Jim Six Pack Realty LLC. And let's say there's only maybe 20 agents, 15, 20, 30 agents within that model. You happen to be one of those agents and you like doing your business in a more homespun, family kind of oriented, highly localized, highly specialized way. And so if you're going to come up against a large franchise, one of the things that you might want to say is, I appreciate the fact that there's large franchise, they have signs everywhere, but the truth of the matter is large corporate franchise groups spend more money on selling franchises than they do selling real estate. Now, this is actually a true statement. It's a little gray, but it's a true statement. And that is, if I work for a large franchise model, how much money are those people giving you to promote your real estate from the corporate level? None. Okay, because corporate franchise group is about selling corporate franchises. Now, there are people who work in smaller franchises or subdivisions of a large corporate franchise. An individual business owner, that person may or may not be subsidizing their agent's advertising expenses, but the truth of the matter is, I find that incredibly hard to believe, given the fact that the margins are just not there. If you've ever tried to run a large franchise real estate company, you realize that you just can't charge enough to earn a living. And so you can't really just be giving money away to subsidize individual agents' advertising. Now, that's a generalized statement. I get it. However, at the corporate level, guess what? There's no corporate level person in a large franchise somehow giving cash to an individual agent to run an ad in Facebook. Just doesn't happen. So the truth is, the corporation's about getting franchises. Now, this is a huge explanation, and you don't necessarily have to be this detailed, but as a professional, if you don't know the difference, it's going to be difficult for you to stand tall and be confident with the fact that, I have chosen to go with a boutique model, and it's Jim, and it's a Lakeview Estates, right? Lakeview Properties. Well, the reason we did this is because we're highly specialized in a very localized market. We realized that all real estate is local, and being able to represent your property, which is around the lake, is all we do. We don't do any types of commercial real estate, and we don't do all these other distracted type things. We specialize in your house, you specifically. And here's how we do this best. Because the people who are coming to the area looking for a lake property, they call us first. We don't need 1,000 signs or bazillion signs across the entire country. We're highly focused on what's happening right here around the lake. Super important, right? So if you're in a boutique model, you're in that model for very specific reasons. It's usually specialty property, or special use type property, or special use neighborhoods, or it's a lifestyle, right? And so maybe you work in a downtown urban environment and you work for the loft agency, right? What the heck? So we sell work, live lofts in downtown. We're an expert in the live-work environment. We understand all the great buildings that you might want to be in this downtown area. And it's highly boutique. Why? Because I have special insider information, because I only work in this 20 or 30 block area. I don't take my efforts and spread them all over the county or spread them all over the state. I'm highly localized, right? All real estate's localized. I'm your local agent. I'm your best listing option for your type of property right here. So that's a big brokerage model and a boutique model. Remember, boutique is probably around specialty type property. How do you compare and contrast, right? Compare and contrast. If I'm in a large brokerage model, large franchised model, and I'm coming against a boutique property or a boutique representation of the lake property in this example, what am I going to say? Well, that's true. You could go with a highly localized broker. All real estate's local. But here's a trend. Maybe I hold up a document that says, here at this large national company, we've identified the fact that 15 to 25% of the people that are buying lake houses now, this year, actually came from a second they came from somewhere else. They came from the big city. They came from out of state. They came from here. We're uniquely positioned to be able to capture people from out of area because of our large, well-established relocation protocol. Oh, okay, great. What model are you in, and how are you going to leverage the benefit of your model against the other model that you might be competing against, okay? Large franchise, well-branded. We got a boutique. Probably the next person you're going to come up against in the market, or you might be that person, is you're in a discount brokerage model. Now, people don't say, hey, I'm in a discount brokerage model. Discount, discount, discount. Because the consumer would probably want to transmit that into a commission reduction. We all know that's negotiable, and that's a whole nother story. But at the end of the day, in a discount model, what am I telling people? What am I telling people? I'm sharing with people the fact that the reason I'm in a discount model is because it costs me less to do business. It costs me less to do business. And what that means is I can take some of the commission that you're paying me, and I can use it to advertise your house and to drive additional traffic. Because at the end of the day, what's most important? I want as many people to be able to see your home in the shortest period of time as possible. And because it costs me less money to operate within this discounted type model, then I can take that money and I can use it to promote your house to drive traffic. Whew, look at that, right? Do the bigs do that? No, because they're charging 80-20 or whatever, like whatever the commission split is, right? So the commission splits are highly favorable towards large brokerages because they have a lot of infrastructure. They're paying for their own real estate, and they're paying for staff, and they're paying for workers' comp, and they're paying for all this stuff. If you're in a virtual model or a discounted model, you don't have all that overhead, which means you should be getting a more favorable split in that environment. Now, if you're a highly organized listing agent, you've now taken the additional money that you're making on the commission split, crafting out your own tools. crafting out your own system, crafting out your own process, affiliating and signing up for important ways to advertise homes. You're not going to rely very heavily on a large corporate advertising campaign kind of platform that really doesn't work, but here's how I execute on the sale of your house. And so here are the ads that I put in Facebook. Here's the ads that I put in Instagram. Here's how I promote your property on social media. Here's how I promote your home to other agents that are in the area. When I take your listing, I send a quick email out to the top 100 buyer agents in this market, and here's what that looks like. Here's a sample of it. Here's a sample of it. Now, the reason why I drive so much traffic in such a short period of time is because I have this marketing plan, which we're going to talk about at a later point in this presentation. But you're going to be able to demonstrate that here's how I do it and here's how I pay for it. Now, it doesn't help if you say, well, we could put it on Facebook and we could do this. It's not, no. Not, at this point, you have to keep it highly specific, and you need to show examples of what exactly you're going to do. And why is it that you can do that in the brokerage model that you're currently standing in, whereas your competitors probably can't do it? So if someone is in a large corporate type of franchise and they're on an 80-20 or a 70-30 split, how much additional commission are they going to be able to offer to subsidize advertising? Probably not very much, and they're not going to be really willing to do it, right? They maybe yes, maybe no, but it doesn't really make that much sense. You know, pretty soon they're working for minimum wage at some point. Now, I'm not saying that you're talking about the commission percentage. I'm not talking about you're getting into the intimate details. What I'm saying is talk about your own personal experience, your own personal, this is a testimony, your own personal testimony, why you've chosen to be in this model and how it benefits the person who's trying to sell their house. Remember, not all brokerages are the same. Start understanding the differences in those brokerages so that when you have to get into a conversation about, well, you know, I know that your brother-in-law is in the business and you're probably just going to list your house with your brother-in-law. Oh, well, maybe the brother-in-law is a buyer's agent who's never taken a listing before, and maybe that person is in maybe a discount, maybe they're in a discount brokerage, and they don't have any understanding or any tools at all in terms of promoting a house correctly. If they're new in the business, they probably haven't taken the time, and they certainly don't have the experience to craft out their own tools, tool crafting. A lot of times, agents that are at the top of their game in a franchise model drift over into a discount brokerage because they realize at the end of the day, hey, I'm doing all this stuff myself anyway. I really don't need the help and support of this other type of business model because I've done it myself. I've arrived here by myself. I need to recover some of this commission. Know the differences, leverage the differences, and utilize them in your presentation.